Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. Got a great video for you all this week. Our last one, in fact, with Blake Cothren of Peaceful Heritage Nursery in central Kentucky. Blake's operation is so smart and so simple, and although they are not certified organic anymore, they still utilize strict organic practices, which makes them unique in the nursery world. And I think Peaceful Heritage provides a really cool model for starting a small, regionally adapted tree nursery just about anywhere. Blake is the author of The Berry Grower and a book on pawpaw production, which I'll link in the show notes, as well as the other videos we've done with him, and also his forthcoming book on the exact subject of today's video, running a small-scale, profitable nursery. So, Blake is going to share some of his secrets today, but first, I want to give a huge shout out to the folks who made this particular trip down to Blake's possible, Toro Ag. Toro Ag is the maker of Aqua-Traxx Azul, the most clog-resistant irrigation drip tape on the market. Its multi-stage filters inside the emitters are a game changer, stopping debris and keeping everything flowing smoothly with a 100 mesh filtration requirement. This breakthrough enhances clog resistance and empowers growers to attain superior longitudinal crop bed irrigation uniformity. Aqua-Traxx Azul is available in 9 emitter flows spanning from ultra low flow to high flow. Emitter spacings range from 4 to 24 inches. There are 6 different tape diameters and 6 thicknesses so that you can customize and select the best drip irrigation for your crop, region, and soil type. Learn more at toro.com. Or you can follow the link in the show notes. Huge shout out to Toro Ag for making our work possible. Otherwise, here's to Blake Cothren of Peaceful Heritage Nursery.
Hi, I'm Blake Cothren, and today I'm going to show you around Peaceful Heritage Nursery and Farm. We're located here in Sanford, Kentucky, and we're in Zone 6, temperate climate, so we grow a lot of different types of fruits and berries and perennial plants that are acclimated to this area. We also operate a full-scale nursery, shipping out plants all over the country, and we mostly focus on fruiting plants, berry vines, pawpaw trees, persimmons, figs, things like that. And the farm here is more focused on trialing different species and different varieties to see what is most resilient. And also we're learning about ways to grow these things organically, sustainably, and finding out what's most resilient, because that's what we want to offer our customers, is plants that are going to succeed with minimal inputs, minimal care, and minimal effort for maximum crop and output. So as far as we've seen, there's only a handful of organic nurseries in the country. We were one of the very first certified organic nurseries. We're no longer certified organic, but we still operate under the same standards as we did before. We just chose to not pursue the certification any longer. But so we grow everything organically here, and that's unusual because there's a lot of challenges to production, and a lot of people don't understand yet how to produce commercially viable plants in an organic manner. So that's something that we're going to check out today, and that's a big focus of my work here at the nursery. So there's a whole lot to consider with small-scale nursery production. Like, you want to consider what are the species that you want to grow, what's the market you're going for, are you wanting to sell plants locally, are you wanting to ship plants? There's a lot of considerations, and so our niche has been unusual fruiting plants. So although we have sold plenty of apples and pears and blackberries and peaches and things that are common like that, we've found a great niche for us has been unusual plants. So figs, pawpaws, goumis, aronias, mulberries, that's what's really worked out well for us. And so there's a lot of considerations in production. Weed control. So for weed control, there's a few things that work really well. First of all, you want to use a growing medium that's clean. So you're not just digging up soil from your backyard and growing plants in it. That's going to be full of diseases. It's going to be full of weed seeds. It's going to not give you very good results. So we use a sterile medium of peat moss and perlite that is basically weed-free. And as long as we keep it covered up, no weed seeds blow into it. So that reduces weeds tremendously. Then we found using a mulch material on top really helps a lot. And we found brown rice hulls are awesome. So we do very little hand weeding, although that is necessary. As far as underneath the tables, we found that there can be weeds that will pop up and grow underneath there, such as moss. There's this weird slimy Kentucky slime stuff. I don't know what it is, but I've only ever seen it in Kentucky. And there's also a little wild mustard that will pop up. And so we use 30 or 40% vinegar for that. Another aspect is pest control. So we don't have terrible pest issues, but from time to time we will see things like aphids, whiteflies, maybe Japanese beetles. The biggest insect issues have been sow bugs or roly-polies and mollusk. So slugs, snails, both of those have been a major issue. So these days there's so many amazing organic products out there, you just have to really plug into what product is going to serve the purpose. And of course, looking at why do you have the pest issue in the first place. So it's not just, oh, we have a pest, let's go get a chemical to spray it, or an organic spray to kill it, but understanding why is it there in the first place. So things like hygiene is super important. So we sweep out the high tunnel, we just bust out some brooms, sweep it out. A leaf blower would probably help with that too. Just keeping it clean. Anything that is infested, we quickly get rid of that. We look at, is there a nutrient deficiency? Is there a watering issue that's causing disease or insect buildup? A lack of hygiene will really help with the proliferation of things like slugs and snails. So for that, we use a product called Sluggo. Beyond the hygiene thing, we'll use Sluggo, which is little iron phosphate pellets coated in what seems like crab shell powder, something like that. It smells a little fishy. It really attracts the slugs and snails. For things like aphids, we may use an organic spray. My favorite one is Pyganic, and it's made from chrysanthemums and special species of pyrethrin daisy. That works amazing. But we have to keep in mind these sprays and products are expensive. It's definitely worth the price, but they are expensive. There is sometimes environmental costs, like you may be killing off some beneficial insects when you spray. So we try to minimize that. But we have noticed that some things do better outside and not inside. It's really funny. Like, for instance, mulberry trees inside the high tunnel tend to get whiteflies really bad. But since we've been growing them outside, there's no whitefly issues outside that we've seen. So sometimes it's just a cultural thing. You just change the way you're growing it a little bit. Look at the underlying factors of why you're having the pest issue in the first place. So this is IPM, right? So we're looking at what are the cultural issues first, sanitation, hygiene, then from there, anything we can do with the spray being the last ditch effort. But we do find that these organic products work great, and it's just really nice to be dealing with organic products because you may get a little bit of spray on your hands or on your clothes. You just don't have to worry that, like, is this some super toxic chemical I just got on my body? And then no, it's not. It's just a little neem oil or a little clove oil. It's not that bad, but that works great. And as far as disease control, it's pretty much the same thing as pest. We'll look at what are the cultural issues. Are we crowding the plants too closely together? Is this a species that's just really prone to disease, or a cultivar that's really prone to disease? If it is, we may consider phasing it out completely. If we see a certain specimen that seems to be, like let's say we're growing thousands of seedlings, if we see a few of them that have disease issues, we'll just pull those out and destroy them because we don't want to sell our customers something that is genetically prone to disease. Increasing ventilation, and then again, if all those things fail to deal with the issue, we may utilize an organic spray to help control the disease, which is sometimes really important. So one of the diseases that we've been struggling with this year has been fig rust, and this is the first year we've ever had an issue with that. And so it's been a really interesting learning experience to learn how to deal with this rust issue. So we're looking at cultural things, we're increasing ventilation, hygiene, and we're also utilizing some organic antifungal sprays. So there's a multifaceted approach that we take to pest and disease control. But so far it's been really effective in producing really high quality products with minimal issues and just making something that we're really happy to get out there to the public. When you've got plants that you want to propagate, or let's say you want to start your nursery and get it off the ground, okay, well, where's all that plant material come from? Okay, so in the nursery trade, we refer to plant parts oftentimes as material. So there's a little bit of lingo to learn. So plant material could include seeds, cuttings, scion material, root cuttings, etc. And so this is the base material that you need to propagate. So it's got the genetic information and it's got the life force that is going to grow into the final plant. you've got sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction would be from seeds. So like our passion fruit vines we grow, we start those from seeds. We actually tried doing them from cuttings and the results were really poor. So far we're mostly doing those from seeds, although we are figuring out the asexual reproduction with those. But so sexual reproduction from seeds, so that would be like our pawpaw seedlings, persimmon seedlings, chestnut seedlings, passion fruit, that's all from seed because it's from the sexual union of the plant, produces the seed. So asexual reproduction is using plant parts. So that would be like root cuttings, stem cuttings, and like we showed you with the figs, those are all asexually propagated, which means they're clones. So they're all exact clones from the parent plant they came from. In rare instances, there can be mutations that can change up the characteristics a little bit, but that's very rare. So mostly we're using cuttings, and as the nurseries progress, we've utilized cuttings more and more. It's easier, it's faster, you can do a lot more in less time. It's way easier than grafting, and also can produce a superior product because when you use a cutting, even the roots are genetically identical to the top. So it's true to type from top to bottom. Whereas when you graft a plant, you have a rootstock, and the rootstock is genetically different from the scion that's been grafted onto it. So I know some of these terms might seem a little over your head right now, but this is all covered in the Nursery ebook. So we also do grafting, and that's another form of asexual propagation where you surgically connect a scion onto a rootstock, and that grows into a clone, at least the upper portions are a clone of the plant that it came from. So, okay, so then the question is, well, where do you get all this plant material? You can order it from reputable sources, but you got to make sure that what you're getting is legit. So I would not recommend ordering randomly from places like eBay or Amazon or Etsy. You don't typically want to go that route because you may be getting stuff that's might have diseases, might have viruses, might not even be true to type, might not even be the right species. I've heard some crazy stories, and I've had a few experiences myself over the years. And so now you want to have your own clean sources. So that means propagating your own mother trees. So a mother tree is going to be a plant that you get cuttings from. And so the entire farm here is covered in vines, bushes, trees, and shrubs that serve as mother trees. So it's not really a fruit farm here as much as it is a nursery operation for the production of cuttings, scions, roots, and things like that for the nursery. So this can be done on a small scale too. You could have a half-acre backyard or a quarter-acre backyard could have hundreds of mother trees and mother shrubs in it that you use for cutting. So it doesn't have to be a big scale thing. Also, you can get cuttings from local farms. There's been times where I went to local orchards and took cuttings of apple trees for doing grafting, and they were all name varieties. We knew they were true to type. We worked with the orchardist on that. So you got to get the material from somewhere. You can also collect seeds. So like that's how we got the original passion fruit started, was we had a seed source, which was a superior local strain. We gathered the seeds from it, planted them out. They also turned out excellent. And so that's how that worked too. So you've got to have a source for the material. You'll notice in the nursery, one of the major things we do is we grow all the plants in milk crates. And so there's a big reason behind that. And I know that using milk crates really reeks of amateur backyard grower, but I have yet to find a more effective way of dealing with all the different aspects of growing these plants, because you got to think, okay, they're in these 10-inch pots. These pots cannot stand up on their own. They'll fall over. So you have to somehow contain them. You have to move them all around the farm, all around the nursery. When you go to ship the plants, they have to be moved. They have to be all at a pretty level state so they get proper irrigation. There's just all sorts of different simple challenges and things you have to deal with when you're growing a nursery full of plants. And the milk crates are pretty much the ideal solution to that. We tried other things like building wooden crates. We tried plastic tubs. None of those things work as well as a milk crate, because these are industrial quality milk crates. These are repurposed, and they just work fantastic. They don't degrade in the sun. They don't fall apart easily. They can last for decades. and they are ideal for this purpose. So we can fit about 16 of these 2.5 inch by 10 inch pots. We can fit about 16 of these pots in a milk crate. And so I refer to that as a unit of production. And depending on the price of the plant, the average price is around $40. That makes each of these milk crates worth over $500 in product in each milk crate. And you can see we can fit hundreds and hundreds of these milk crates full of plants in a very small amount of space. And one of the other challenges that we've tackled is greenhouse tables. So if you ever look up the price of greenhouse tables, like pre-manufactured tables, they are incredibly expensive. I figured out that we could build the tables out of cinder blocks and cattle panels. So these are just cinder block and cattle panel tables, and they work fantastic because both of those things are really inexpensive. A cinder block is $3 to $4. A cattle panel is, you can get 16 feet for, right now they're about $33. So basically I've got about 4 feet wide table by 50 feet, and there's about 5 panels in here plus the cinder blocks. So you're looking at less than $500 to have 50 feet of greenhouse table, which if you look at the price of the greenhouse table, they're thousands of dollars. And what I like about these is they're changeable. You can take them apart easily. You could do any sort of cleaning or sweeping you need to do. You can change the shape of them. You can make them shorter. You can make them a little bit longer. Previously we used milk crates underneath, and that works fine too. And then we recently changed the legs to cinder blocks. It's just a little more sturdy, holds them up a little higher. But this is a great height to work at too. It's not too tall, it's not too short. I don't have to bend over at all, so it's easier on your back. And we have these on a mist system. So these misters go off 2 to 3 times a day. We have it all on timers. And this is great for doing the cuttings. So this is the fertigation pump. It's a DEMA Mixrite. And so this goes into the bucket or container of liquid fertilizer. It pumps it up just using water pressure, and it pumps it up in here, and then it puts it through the system through all the piping here. So I just need to manipulate these valves different ways. I'll close that one off, open this one, sort of thing, and it'll pump it to different areas of the greenhouses and the outdoor area just by manipulating these valves. So it's a really cool system, and one of the benefits of it is that it delivers uniform fertilizer to all the plants. So we used to come out here years ago and do it manually with buckets and stuff, and that was just really a pain. You waste a lot, it doesn't give uniform results. This has been a great upgrade to that. If you want to learn about doing fertigation systems, you'll want to sign up for my Nursery ebook, and that's going to cover all aspects of what we're talking about today. The milk crate manifesto, growing in tree pots, setting up irrigation, fertigation, even doing propagation, cuttings, and all that. One thing I should mention is that normally I've got these fans running, and the fans are a very important part of not only ventilation but disease control. And so for the video, I flipped the fans off so they're not creating a lot of noise, but fans are really important for creating movement on the plants. Like you can see it moves the plants around when the fans are on. That strengthens the plants, makes sure that they have strong branches, strong stems. Also helps with disease control, pest control, and cools down the high tunnel a little bit, which is important too, because you don't want it necessarily 100 degrees in here all the time. This is typically what you see when you go to any nursery, anywhere around the country, even a mail order nursery. You're typically gonna get a plant that comes in a pot like this. And we found there's a lot of disadvantages to this circular pot. First of all, it is very randomly designed. The design of the pot encourages the roots to circle, which is detrimental to the root system. It has these randomly spaced drainage holes. It's overly big. When it's full of soil, it's overly heavy. It's difficult to ship. It's heavy to ship. It's difficult to box. And with a milk crate, you can only fit 1 or 2 of these, maybe 3 if you really stuffed them in a milk crate. And so all these things make it a major disadvantage compared to a square pot. So you see milk crate is a square, pot's a square. So it utilizes the space really well. You can fit 16 of these in a milk crate, and these are 2.5 inch by 10 inch pots. They're expertly designed to produce good quality roots. So these are especially for the nursery trade, especially for trees. They've got one drainage hole at the bottom. These ridges prevent root circling. And previously, this is all based off Cliff England's system. So I didn't completely invent this. I've just been refining it for a number of years now. So originally, what Cliff used was these type of pots. I think these are 14 inch or so by 3 inch. They're a little bit bigger. And these work well, but they're also quite heavy. So they're heavy, they were hard to ship. You could only fit about 9 of them in a milk crate. And we found that with the smaller size, you can produce a tree that is as large and high quality as you can in the bigger pot, using less soil, less resources, less space, easier to ship, easier to package up, and you can fit 16 of them in a milk crate. So, like I said, the average price that we're selling a plant for and grown in one of these is about 50 bucks. So some of them are 40, some of them are 60, some of them are up to 150. The average price is around 50 bucks. At $50 a piece and 16 to a crate, that's $800. $800 in this amount of space. So you can produce $800 in product in a milk crate's worth of space, which is about 13 inches by 13 inches. So in a 13 inch by 13 inch space, you can produce $800 worth of product easily.
And that's in the course of a season, you said? What am I looking at?
In the course of a season, depending on the exact species, maybe it'll take 2 seasons. Some things could be 1 season, some things 2 seasons. But you can imagine an entire greenhouse full of these milk crates, and you've got hundreds of milk crates, and each one has $600 to $1,000 in product in it. It really adds up fast. So one thing I wanted to mention is sometimes the pest you have to deal with is deer. So deer will get into a nursery, they'll get into an orchard, they'll get into a garden, and they can cause a lot of devastation. So this is a prototype, okay? This is not a final product. This is a prototype, and this is a version of a slant fence that I came up with. So a slant fence, the theory behind it is that deer have excellent height perception, but very poor depth perception. So they know how high something is, they can jump over it. And if it's 8 feet or below, they can usually jump over it. However, they have very poor depth perception. So even though this is only about 50 inches, their way that their brain works, they don't know that they can jump over this or not. They don't feel safe. So you see how this is slanted, okay? And so they will be very, very hesitant to jump over this, even though it's only not even 4 feet tall. And I've literally seen deer walk around this fence, look very confused, and then walk away. So I haven't had any deer attack in here whatsoever since I put this up. It doesn't mean it'll never happen, and I'm still working on this design, but this is what I've got now. So these are locust posts from a locust tree that got knocked down in a storm. They were free. I just chainsawed them up, put them in the ground a few feet deep. These are cattle panels from Tractor Supply, and I've got them connected to the post with those U-shaped fencing staples. And so that's how they're connected. So you can lift this up, you could prop it up on a 2x4 or something, string trim underneath it, put it back down. Eventually I'm gonna build a little gate on this winter, but that's how it works. And the corners are still a little bit open. You can see there's some gaps where a deer could theoretically crawl in if it wanted to. Haven't had that happen yet. I'm still working on the details, but this is my prototype, and so far it's been working great. You can see this is a fairly decent area. It's about 30 by 20, and I fenced all this in for about 350 bucks. And these locust posts and these steel cattle panels are gonna last for decades and decades on end. And I just like this a lot better than like a plastic fence or something else that would be in the same price range. This is just a lot more aesthetically pleasing. It's made out of durable materials that are gonna last for decades. So this is one option you can look at for fencing in a small area, whether it's a garden or a nursery or a small berry patch, etc., to protect from deer. So our nursery website is peacefulheritage.com. There you can find all of our products, fruit trees, cuttings, seeds, plants. We ship out all over the country. And also you can find the link in the description for the nursery ebook that'll be released in 2025. It's gonna be my 3rd book. First book was Paw Paw's The Complete Growing and Marketing Guide. Second book was The Berry Grower. The third book is on nursery production, so it's going to be about everything we've been talking about today. You can sign up for the list that's going to be in the show notes here, and that'll get you signed up, and you'll be notified as soon as that book comes out, and then you can get a copy. We also have a YouTube channel. It's Peaceful Heritage Nursery, and you can also find us under the same name on Instagram.
How awesome is that nursery? Actually, I think both of those work. I know that I'm very inspired by how simple and low-fi Blake's operation is, and I hope you all got a lot out of it, at least as much as I did. Check out the links to pick up a copy of one of Blake's books and get on the list for his forthcoming book on nursery production. The links are in the show notes. Also, check out the other two videos we did with Blake a few weeks ago. One on figs and the other on pawpaws and other resilient fruits. Both are awesome. Otherwise, like this video if you like this video. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, you're awesome. Another way to be awesome, pick up a copy of the Living Soil Handbook at no-tillgrowers.com, or a hat or other merch, or just join our Patreon community at patreon.com/no-tillgrowers, or just hit that super thanks button. That works too. Super thanks to Blake, super thanks to Toro Ag, super thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.
Backyard can have hundreds of mother trees and mother shrubs in it, but